What's up, SnEaKyNation? SnEaKy here, back with all the news after Week 14 in our San Francisco 49ers franchise, where the 49ers picked up a victory over the New York Jets. Next up, we have the Atlanta Falcons, but first, let's check out some highlights from Week 14, and there were not many. This was a defensive battle. 49ers on 3rd and 9 would complete it to Quentin Patton. That would set up this field goal by Phil Dawson, but it will fall just short there. The Jets would take over, and they would try to make a play of their own, but Taylor Hart would get the sack on Ryan Fitzpatrick. The Jets would be forced to kick a field goal here, and the Jets would take a 3-0 lead. However, the 49ers looking to answer will get a field goal of their own. This time, Phil Dawson will knock it through the uprights, and we have a 3-3 score. But with halftime winding down, the Jets would add one more to take a 6-3 lead. Nick Folk would convert. Going into halftime, the Jets would get the ball here in the 3rd on the right side. Jacob Tamme with the grab down to the 33-yard line. 1st down and 10. Fitzpatrick then finding Brandon Marshall on the left side. That would set up this touchdown run by Taliaferro into the end zone, and the Jets would have a 13-3 lead over the 49ers. But at this point, the 49ers offense starts to get going. Jeremy Curley with the catch. He would take it all the way down to the 41-yard line on the play. Then on 4th and 2, Phil Dawson will knock it through the uprights from 51 yards out. We have a 13-6 ball game. The 49ers offense again back out onto the field here. Down the right side, Vance McDonald with the grab to the 43-yard line. Then on 1st and 10, Vance McDonald once again will tie this ball game up 13-13. The Jets trying to make something happen, but DeForest Buckner would have other plans. The rookie from Oregon gets the sack and forces the fumble. That would give the 49ers the ball on the 25-yard line. Then on 3rd and 2, Sean Drone on the right side into the end zone. Touchdown for the 49ers. And they will take a 20-13 lead with the Jets trying to get back into the game. Gerald Hodges Jr. would get the interception for the 49ers, and that would seal the Jets' fate. The 49ers win 20-13 in a defensive battle, but it's not about to get easier. Next up, we are playing the 9-4 Atlanta Falcons on the road, and this definitely is going to be a tough test. Now, we don't have to do any practices today. We have a gold on both offensive and defensive game plans here, so we can go ahead and sim this, and so we might check out some other things a little bit later. But we have some press questions today. First one is coming from King Kong for your first round draft pick. Are you planning to draft an offensive player or a defensive player? And I think this really depends on a few things. Obviously, where we are selecting and who is available when we are there. We certainly would like to take the best player available, regardless of whether they are on the offensive side of the ball or defensive side of the ball. Whoever we think is going to help this team the most is where we are going to go. Then we have a question from Fam. I'm so sorry. I know I keep saying your name wrong. Are you going to draft a quarterback this year? Yes, that is certainly the plan. The real question comes down to where are we going to draft a quarterback? Obviously, we very much like Richie in the 1st round, but if we can see good value at a later draft pick, we might use that 1st round pick on a different player and select a quarterback later. Now, whether or not this guy is going to be a day 1 starter is also a question mark for this team. You know, we still have to decide on whether or not we bring Gabbert back. If we don't, Kaepernick could be the day 1 starter next year, at least until our rookie comes into their own, if we do indeed draft a quarterback. Last question by Brian Barber. If you are eliminated from the playoffs, will some of the younger guys get more snaps? This is kind of a difficult one to answer, maybe, but I really feel like a lot of our young guys are already playing. We have a lot of youth on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, maybe we could find some more time for Aaron Burbridge. That's certainly an option, but we are still in the playoff hunt as of right now. It's going to take a miracle for us to get there, but we are not eliminated yet, and we are still going to attempt to make the playoffs. That is going to be it for the press questions. Let's go ahead and check out some of the scores from around the NFL. The Chiefs would get the victory 45-27 over the Oakland Raiders. The Chiefs improved to 9-4 on the season. The Raiders fall to 6-7. Nick Foles with a great game for the Chiefs there, getting a lot of help from Jamal Charles as well. Cooper with 92 yards. Conley with 112 yards. Neither of those guys would get a touchdown, though. Ron Parker would lead the way defensively here for the Chiefs. And then 1.5 sacks for Khalil Mack on the day. Interceptions, we're going to have one by Barrington, Mitchell, and Houston. And then for fumbles forced, we are going to have one by Phillip Gaines. He would recover it as well. 28-20, the Steelers would get the victory over the Bills, and the Steelers continue to impress despite not having Ben Roethlisberger right now. The Steelers improved to 9-4 on the year. The Bills falling to 9-4. So both teams having a pretty good record at this point in the season. Goodwin over 100 yards for him and a touchdown. Gilmore would lead the way defensively with 11 tackles. We have 2 sacks by Cameron Hayward as well. Williams, Moats, and Harrison would each get one. Gilmore, Shazier, and Darby would each get an interception on the day. Fumbles forced, we are going to have one by Corey White. It would not be recovered. 28-27. The Broncos get the victory over the Titans here. Simeon playing a lot, well, not a lot of time. He only threw for 87 yards, but he did get 2 touchdowns to no interceptions. The Broncos improved to 4-9 on the year. The Titans falling to 6-7. Ruben Randall with a great day receiving there. Then defensively, Brandon Marshall would lead the way with 13 tackles. Sacks, we have 2 by Klug and 2 by Kevin Dodd, who has had an outstanding rookie season there for the Titans. Interceptions, Chris Harris Jr., Stewart, and Stafford would make the plays defensively there. Fumbles forced, we are going to have none on the day. Next game, 27-24, the Saints get the victory over the Bucks. The Saints improved to 6-7 on the year. The Bucks fall to 6-7. Drew Brees, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Jameis Winston with 2 touchdowns, no interceptions on the day. Winston would also run for a touchdown there, though. And then Mike Evans, I believe, would have the touchdown there for the Buccaneers. Ellerby would lead the way with 13 tackles on the day. 2 sacks for Nick Fairley. Interceptions, 2 by Levante David, making some plays for the Bucs defense there. He would also force the fumble, as would Nick Fairley. Neither would be recovered. 31-24, the Redskins with the victory over the Eagles. The Redskins improved to 6-7 on the year. The Eagles fall to 3-10, despite a pretty solid game by Carson Wentz, throwing for 3 touchdowns, only 1 interception. He actually outdueled Kirk Cousins on the day, at least as far as touchdowns go, but ultimately the Redskins would get the victory here. Defensively, Tolik and Ionechu, I'm so sorry I butchered that one too, would lead the way with tackles. Kendricks, Norman, and Jenkins would lead the way with an interception apiece. Fumbles forced, we are going to have one by Mason Foster. It would not be recovered though. 29-26, the Dolphins get the victory over the Arizona Cardinals here. The Dolphins improved to 4-9 on the year. The Arizona Cardinals fall to 2-11 on their way to potentially having the #1 overall draft pick, which would be huge considering they are in the same division as the 49ers. It's going to be interesting to see how these last few weeks play out, but I do not know what happened to the Cardinals this year. It has been ridiculous. This is a team I thought could potentially be in the Super Bowl, but clearly that is not happening right now. Fumbles forced, Jones would force one and recover one. Neither of the other fumbles would be recovered. 37-31, the Chargers get the victory over the Panthers. Now, the Chargers, on the other hand, currently with the best record in the NFL at 11-2. They continue to get things done. The Panthers fall to 6-7 on the day. But it was a pretty solid effort by Cam Newton. He threw for 3 touchdowns. He ran for 1. The Chargers offense just a bit too potent for the Panthers defense to handle. But look at Akeem Nicks, 6 catches, 150 yards, and a touchdown for him, trying to revive his career in Carolina there. Kuechly would lead the way with 15 tackles on the day. 2 sacks by Ely and Lugit, another name that I struggle with always. Trey Boston would get the interception there. Fumbles forced, we have 1 by Luke Kuechly. It would not be recovered. 25-11, the Bengals get the victory over the Browns. The Bengals improved to 6-1. The Browns falling to 7-5-1 on the season. Andy Dalton with a monster game there. Very much looking good and doing good work of the Browns defense. AJ Green, 10 catches, 130 yards and a touchdown. Brandon LaFell would go over 100 yards as well for this Bengals offense, and they just all played excellent. Williams would lead the way with 11 tackles on the day. 2 sacks for Corey Lemonnier and Geno Atkins on the day. Pico would add a sack and a half as well. Interceptions, none happening on the day. Fumbles forced, we are going to have 2 fumbles forced. Geno Atkins would recover his. Williams would not be recovered. 31-17, the Lions get the victory over the Bears. The Lions improved to 10-3 on the year. The Bears, on the other hand, fall to 3-10. Jay Cutler, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. I think Stafford did the same, actually. Stafford would also run for a touchdown as well. Receiving, Golden Tate, 5 catches, 48 yards, but 2 touchdowns on the day, doing a good job. Alshon Jeffrey held to only 39 yards and 3 catches. He did get a touchdown there, though. Defensively, Williams would lead the way with 11 tackles. Sacks, we have 1 by Bullard, the rookie, 1 by Spence McPhee, and Gilberry would get some sacks as well. Interceptions, Darius Slay Jr. and Kyle Fuller, who we know all too well with our game against the Bears there. Fumbles forced, Williams and Young would each force a fumble and recover it. Neither of the other fumbles would be recovered. 24-17, the Colts get the victory over the Texans. The Colts improved to 6-7 on the year. The Texans falling to 4-9, and Tom Savage getting a lot of playing time there today. Osweiler out with injury, but they were struggling long before that happened. Todman would get 2 rushing touchdowns as well. And it looked like Andrew Luck might have gone down with an injury as well. We'll have to keep an eye on that as we progress forward. Merciless would lead the way with 9 tackles on the day. Quentin Coples would have the only full sack. A few players would split a sack. Vontae Davis with 2 interceptions. Brown and Jackson would each get 1 as well. Fumbles forced, and Vontae Davis forcing a fumble and recovering it. Clowney would do the same. 39-35, the Vikings with the victory over the Jags. The Vikings improved to 9-4 on the year. The Jags fall to 6-7. Blake Bortles, though, even with the loss, 4 touchdowns, only 1 interception on the day. However, it was McKinnon and Adrian Peterson combining for over 150 yards and 4 touchdowns that would help get the Vikings the victory in today's game. Chris Ivory had 2 receiving touchdowns there for the Jags as well. Defensively, Audie Cole has had a spectacular season. He would lead the way in tackles. We're going to see a bunch of players in on a sack today. Interception-wise, we are going to have 1 by Terrence Newman. And then fumbles forced, we have, let's see, 1 by Audie Cole. He would recover it as well. 35-30, the Falcons get the victory over the Rams. And this is the Falcons team that the 49ers are getting ready to take on. Jared Goff with a great game, 392 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Matt Ryan just under 400 yards as well. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions for him. The Falcons would improve to 9-4 on the year. The Rams falling to 7-6. So the Rams only 1 game ahead of the 49ers right now. It's going to depend on what happens with this Seahawks game, which we will check out next, but the 49ers still very much in the playoff hunt here. As we check out the sacks on the day, and we got to take a look at these Falcons players. No interceptions on the day. Both quarterbacks had a field day for sure. Babineau, Ogletree, and Joyner would each force a fumble. Joyner would recover his. Then the Packers get the victory over the Seahawks, 28-25. The Packers improved to 9-4 on the year. The Seahawks falling to 7-6 on the year. So we have 3 weeks left. The 49ers are only 1 game behind the Rams and the Seahawks, and we play each team as well before the season ends. This could really be a showdown for the NFC West, and it's crazy to think the 49ers are still in this race, but they certainly are, and it's going to be interesting to see which team can step up over these last few weeks. I will say, 49ers might have their work cut out for them going against the 9-4 Falcons on the road next week, but if they can somehow get a victory here, they will be right back in it. 15-7, the Giants with the victory over the Cowboys. The Giants improved to 7-5-1. The Cowboys falling to 8-5 on the year. Prescott did throw a touchdown, no interceptions on the day there. But this was definitely a defensive battle, a very low-scoring game. You see Victor Cruz got a touchdown, though, for the Giants. It's nice to see him back in the pads making some plays. Thornton would lead the way with 8 tackles. He would also have 2 sacks. So would Crawford, Lawrence, and Harrison. All kinds of sacks happening in today's game. This is crazy, man. Interceptions, none on the day. Fumbles forced. Let's see what we got over here. We're going to have no fumbles forced or recovered. Last game of the week, 14-3. The Patriots in another defensive game would take down the Ravens. The Patriots improved to 7-5-1. The Ravens falling to 3-10 on the year. Under 200 yards for Joe Flacco. No touchdowns. He didn't throw an interception either, but obviously not moving the chains a whole lot either. A nice game by Danny Amendola there. He had a solid one. It looks like Gronkowski's actually injured for the Patriots. We'll have to keep an eye on that as well. Chung, Collins, and Mosley would get the sacks on the day. Interceptions, none happening in today's game. Fumbles forced, we have 3. Dumerville, Correa and Lofton going to force and recover some fumbles there. Players of the week, Cam Newton, 22 of 28, 281 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown for him. Levante David, 7 tackles, 2 interceptions, and a fumble forced. Vontae Davis with 5 tackles, 2 interceptions, fumble forced, and fumble recovered. And then Nick Foles, 22 of 26, 331 yards, 4 passing touchdowns for him. Let's take a look at some draft stories here and look at this. Defensive players rarely walk away with the Heisman, but this year, Georgia free safety Sean Patton did just that. Now, he is a middle of the first round guy. We have already scouted him, but this is where I am very intrigued. Alabama cornerback Chantrell Wilkerson has struggled in recent weeks. His draft stock sinks to an all-time low. This is the 6'4" cornerback that we are very much liking. Now, he was projected early first round. Now he has fallen all the way to the second round, guys. So we are going to have to keep an eye on him. Now, I think with him, it's really going to come down to his combine. If he has a good combine, he is definitely a player I would be interested in picking up. If he doesn't have a good combine, we are probably going to move away from him and not make that selection, but certainly an intriguing prospect as a 6'4" cornerback. Here are some of the players we have scouted. Nobody here standing out a whole lot, but maybe some later round guys we could keep an eye on. Falcons, Matt Ryan leading the way, 85 overall. Matt Schaub would be backing him up. Devontae Freeman, 86 overall there. Then Patrick DeMarco at fullback. Julio Jones, one of the best in the game, joined by Mohamed Sanu this year, Marcus Colston, as well as Marlon Brown and Justin Hardy at tight end. They have Craig Stevens and Toy Lolo there. Left tackle, the young Jake Matthews out of Texas A&M. LaVitre going to be at left guard. Alex Mack, a huge pickup for their offensive line there. Chester at right guard. And then at right tackle, they're going to have Schrader as well. Left in, Jeremy Mincy. Adrian Claiborne is out with an injury. Brooks Reed going to be playing at right end for them. And then at defensive tackle, they have Babinu. We have seen him make a lot of plays throughout the year. Palmer at left outside linebacker. They also have Weatherspoon there. Then Warlow at middle linebacker with Deion Jones. Then Vic Beasley Jr., the second-year pro from Clemson. Desmond Trufant going to be the #1 corner here, and that might make it very difficult to throw on the Falcons there. But outside of that, a pretty weak secondary group here. They do have Neal, the rookie, as well. He certainly has a bright future, but overall, there are question marks with that secondary and their defense overall. Freeman and Coleman would be the punt returners here. Here are the injuries for the Falcons. Adrian Claiborne being the only significant one here. The rest are going to be some backup players, but Claiborne only out for 3 more weeks, so the Falcons would get him back in the playoffs for sure. That is going to be it for this episode, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed. Hit that like button if you did, and I will see you guys in Week 15 as the 49ers take on the Atlanta Falcons. Later.